So before we went to Istanbul for the Global Entrepreneurship Congress, one of the things that we were thinking about is how will we go there and listen? How could we go there and learn? One of the things that I noticed as soon as we got there, and we got there and interviewed up to 50 ecosystem builders, and there was 3,500 ecosystem builders from around the world, but one of the first things we noticed was just how many best practices there were around ecosystem building, around that were designed to clear barriers for those entrepreneurs in their individual countries.
The biggest thing I think that I picked up across all the interviews is that cultural and language differences aside, we're all much more similar than we're led to believe. And it is the similarities which keep us connected, and it's the differences which keep it really interesting. And that there are these people that are emerging whose whole job is to think about the system in their community, whether it was in Vietnam, whether it was in Madagascar, whether it was in England, countries that seem very different, but in fact the overall approach was the same.
I think an entrepreneurial ecosystem is when you have a robust community that is really committed to working collaboratively to solve problems and launch businesses and find creative ways to bring their products to market. I like to think of the entrepreneurial ecosystem as a mix of forward thinkers, innovative thinkers who are really working hard about how can I offer the market something that is different, that's going to make your life better.
We see an ecosystem as a network of all the stakeholders that are contributing to the development of the startup and innovation economy of a city or a country.
It's a space where government, companies, educations combine in order to build skills for the people in order to create value through companies.
Any ecosystem, if you want to develop, needs to have connectedness. And research has shown that if one startup has, co-founders from different economies or different markets or different ecosystems, will be more easily to be successful.
One of the unique things that I learned was just how urgent the need to build an ecosystem and how urgent entrepreneurship is in some of these countries. I mean, what I was hearing was it's almost a survival mechanism for their countries, for their economies. And so there was this urgency, there was this a sharpness, almost on the edge of their seat, talking as we were interviewing, talking about entrepreneurship.
In moments of crisis lie the biggest opportunities for innovation. You would have people that perhaps in other moments of time might have had more differences between them or might think of them as competition, working together towards the same goal and paying forward to each other. And so I think that's one of the strongest and positive aspects of what's happening.
And so how can we as a foundation gather together some of those lessons, some of those stories, and how can those better inform the work that we're doing to fortify the field of ecosystem building, the profession of ecosystem building, and really giving ecosystem builders those tools and programs to be able to have a positive impact on the community and support more entrepreneurs.
Entrepreneurship is about hope. And it's not about hope that you just dream about hope. It's a hope which actually you're able to see in reality and go for it.
There are times when you lose hope, but I think that's also one of the main keys of ecosystems. It's also, becoming inspired and reawakening that flame and realizing that you are not the only crazy person fighting for this, but that there are actually many others that are fighting for the same cause.
In hearing the stories of these folks in their communities doing the work to help entrepreneurs, for some of them it was a passion, for some it was their calling, for some they risked life and death to be able to do the work. The commonality across all of them is that they were creating a bottom-up approach to really grow entrepreneurs in an authentic way. My sense is that it's the beginning of a movement, that it's the spreading of a culture and a way of thinking, and that the folks from all over the country, all over the world who think about this are thinking about it in similar ways. And the opportunity is for us to stoke the fire a little bit, pour a little more rocket fuel on it, and by connecting people together and sharing what's working. And if we do that, that we have a chance to not just only fundamentally remake the economy of the United States, but really economies around the world.